not any two masters were the same. Different EQ techniques, different compression techniques, different approaches. Some were super loud, -5 LUFS peak. Some were overall -14 LUFS long-term integrated because there were different styles of music, everything. And this music came from the best newsletter subscribers on the planet, my newsletter subscribers, because my newsletter is the best newsletter for working audio professionals. And I said, guys, I want to do a mastering marathon. Send me stuff. They sent me 47 tracks to look through. I narrowed it down to 10 for this video. And what I'm going to do is, whoever's on my newsletter list by next week, so there's a link in the description to get down there, I'm going to send out this session for you to download and you can pull it apart. So if you've got Pro Tools, you can open up this session, look at all the mastering settings I did for every single track and dissect it, improve on it, whatever. I asked the subscribers, hey, is it cool if I share this with everybody? And they're like, yep. So that's what we're doing. And now let's jump into it. And before we get started, just take a listen to some of the variety we've got here in terms of sound. So have a listen. The first track by Raem Eliyahu. Please excuse me if I do not pronounce things wrong. Apologies. So, is there anything you'd like mastering to highlight? I wanted to respect the spacious live feel and the spatial stereo character. It's a band led by a drummer, so to keep highlighting those clicky transients in the sides. And is there anything he's conscious of in the mixes? Well, the macro dynamics need to be balanced, so the build-up in volume is kept and still maintains the energy in quiet parts. Interesting notes that here. Let's have a listen to this mix. I'm going to start on the back end where it gets... Actually, let's go from this softer section through. Let's have a listen. Something to note there is the noise. Is that creative or is that artifact? Okay, really important thing to highlight there is the crescendo in the violins. Any dynamic processing we do, especially parallel, we don't want to ruin that crescendo. We really want it to be felt nice and evenly. Ooh, the snare drum is really hard out in the right. Okay, stereo-wise, there's a bit of funky things happening on. I love the detail, I love the musicality, I love even the balance of things in general. But the stereo field, he talks about the spacious live feel, and I get that. But totally, that right-hand side, especially having that kick drum heavy there, is quite an interesting choice, because what's happening as a listener, I'm leaning into that right side really heavily. Really heavily. Now, there's a few things. There's the weight of the snare drum in the right. I think we're going to keep some of these panning decisions in check. Like, I think I don't want to destroy this mix by over processing it. But I think that kick drum, we need to just sort of like just into the middle a little bit. What else is going on? This is just beautiful. This is really beautiful musicianship. Exceptional. So I think we're going to start with the start. What are the biggest sort of things we can manage here? Now, Typically, you've seen me do masters. I start with clipping and going through everything. But for something like this, I want to take like the biggest, not problems, but the biggest things which are going to have the greatest impact and start there and then work towards the end. I don't want to start like going, oh, we need to manage the microdynamics of clipping and doing this and doing that. I want to start with the biggest problem, which is these drums being all the way on the right. I shouldn't call it a problem. I should call it just the way things are. Everything's on the right. And that's what the mixing engineer and the drummer who's leads this group have signed off on. So I want to respect that, but I want to manage it so it's not so heavy into the right-hand side. So let's do that. Let's consider some things here. So we're going to start with Bassline Pro, and there's a really good just like starting setting, which is called simple and effective, because basically it's exactly that. And all we have to do is change the crossover points for it. But just take a listen to what this does to the low end. Put that in bypass. Okay, I'm going to put that in bypass because I want to listen to the left and right pre this and the left and right post this. Let's have another listen. Okay, so that's probably the biggest change I'm going to make on this master because detail-wise, the mix is pretty balanced nicely. Let's have another listen. So that right-hand side has that big beefy snare, and the low mids on the left channel, there's not much there. And I don't want to boost it for the sake of boosting it, because then you're just sort of muddying up the signal and shifting the sort of sound and feel of it in not a musical way. Just because it's not tonally matching doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I want to get the feel to match right, though. So something I'm hearing is on that right side, there's lots of dynamics because of that snare. So it's moving, it's boom, 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 boom. On the left side, it's very mellow. So I'm like, okay, what's happening in the left side that's dynamic that maybe we can bring out with an EQ and it complements what's happening on the right side in a more musical way rather than just going, oh, that's got lots of warmth. That doesn't. Let's boost the warmth. Doesn't necessarily work like that. You can't be too pragmatic, technical like that. You got to think creatively. So I want to think I'm going to monitor this left side and I'm going to try and feel out where there's some nice dynamic movement and maybe we can pull out a bit of an EQ there. That's solo. It's around 2 kilohertz where those notes are just sort of poking a little bit. You can hear the definition and the movement. I'll just play that with an EQ on. nice. Take listen to that. That's gorgeous. Just helps that solo poke a little bit more. So you got those snares in the right going doom ga 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 on the right, and then you got this key on the left just going and just jazzing out there. Now that is about creativity. It's not about being super technical and going muddy, not muddy, bring out low mids in the left. No, I'm not trying to balance it like that. I'm trying to think musically. How can this balance nicely? So that's really good. Let's quickly A/B what we've got here, because then I want to start considering how compression can fit into this. And my main thing is going to be this crescendo where the violin is. So I'm going to dial it in the louder section, and then I'm going to dial in the attack and the main parameters in the loud section, and then I'm going to go back to this crescendo with the violin to dial in the threshold. But let's get to that in a moment. Let's A/B this quickly. That filter's a little bit high on Bassline Pro. I will say that it's a little bit too high. Just bring you down, even you down, because it just feels like the pads of the keys are starting to phase inwards a bit, which is really weird. I don't like that. That's better. All right, compression time, guys. Let's have a look at this. Dun, 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 dun. Just going to be solo this section. Nah, that's shit. That's horrible, that compression. It is just holding it down too long, way too long. That's better. What was this release? Because it was so long, that tail on the out of the snare felt like all the high end was just like really squished down. So I sped it up a bit. I don't even know if that needs to be sped up even more, I reckon. Because I'm just losing some of that forwardness of it because it's This compression is nice. Like I like what it's doing in the transits. It's sustain that it's just shit on. That's better. That's much better. That's much better. That's better. Before that, super slow release was just crunching it all down, which I didn't like. Right, let's keep it moving. We'll do a bit of push-pull here in the mid-range, like half a dB. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. I reckon I'm going to just give half a dB extra to everything around 1.5K. I know we already did a little bit on the left, but I just want a little bit more presence and detail. And then be half a dB down around 500 hertz, where there's just a bit of not woolliness, but like I just want to just keep it a bit more together. Because I know naturally if I drive any level, that's going to come up and just feel a bit denser there anyway. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. So a little bit of, just on the side signal here, just a little bit of tube saturation of the top end. Just take a listen to this before and after. Oh, you know something that does, which I don't like, to the side signal? It makes the snare drum's weight feel a little bit weak. So I'm just going to back that off, because I do like that. And I'm going to bring this 500 back, because I just listened to that in the AB and I didn't like it. Listen to that low end. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right, now is the really tricky part because I've sort of like brought everything in where I like it. I'm going to limit this. So to limit this, I'm going to use the vintage limiter. We're going to have to mess with the tone slightly here because I don't want it to just be ducking every time. It's really dangerous, really dangerous. Probably think I'm crazy, but I'm going full linked here because that snare drum's so strong in the right. If that's ducking differently, the whole time it's limiting, it's just going to be flowing out to the left-hand side. It's just going to be dun 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 dun, and it's just going to, every time that right hand's going to duck, those synths are going to drift out to the left, which would just be really unnatural. So we can't do a lot of limiting, but we will do some here with the maximizer. Now we can listen before and after this mastering chain. The loudest points are hitting 10 LUFS, which isn't very loud, but this style of music I don't think calls to be slammed and pushed. Let's just have a listen to how this has ended up. So pre is before, post is after. Don't like this EQ here. I think I yin-yanged in the wrong way. I went for more upper mid, less lower mid. It's made it sound a bit thin. I'm going to flip this a little bit. And with this flip here, I'm going to see if this helps this tone along a little bit better. I'm going to have to re-level match it, but no. I liked the balance, like the stereo balance was tighter, the dynamics were tighter, but the tone was really shifted in not a pleasant way. And as a drummer myself, I wouldn't have been happy if that had happened to me. Okay, so I had to pretty much tweak the whole master. Once I limited it and actually heard what it was doing to the tone, I had to go back, readjust this low pass filter that was managing the mono low end because it was too gentle and too much of the snare was carrying around into that middle, which wasn't any good. The EQ, which I yin-yanged in favor of a slightly more open upper mid register, I had to yin-yang the other way and beef out the lows a little, like that the mid range at around 500 hertz, that low mid, because it was just thinning out and all that feel and warmth was leaving the master, which is not good. But now I reckon even after limiting, we're in a pretty decent position. If we listen to this back now level matched, I'm pretty damn happy with that. Let's have a listen. So pre is before, post is after. That's master one done. I'm pretty happy with that. Some things about this in managing the stereo field is you got to respect the integrity of the original mixer's decisions and the creative artist's decisions to have things panned in a certain way. So you just can't go gung-ho and just go, oh, we're going to put everything down the center. We're going to balance the tone to the right. We're going to balance the tone to the left. Make sure they all match up correctly because that's sometimes not what people want. You want to match the creative integrity. So I had to like full 360 on my master and redo this pass filter here, and it's about an octave lower. Back then it was 160 hertz, it was much higher up, but too much of the fundamental of the snare was slipping into the middle. It was starting to thin out. I did not like that. And the other thing is I went for a slightly brighter, more clearer master, but clearer isn't necessarily better. It lost a lot of that warmth and energy. So I think what we've come to here is something that matched that original integrity in a nice way. So yeah, I'm going to print this out. 1 down, 9 to go. Arnold Howe. Highlighting, I guess I would want the be on the vocals. Our singer has a really great voice, and we try to build our songs around his voice. Second, the sound is not as clean and sterile as some of the mixers you are working with, being in the nature of the style that we are playing in and only use real instruments. So there might be some flaws to that, especially the drums, but for now, I'm happy how it turned out. Oh, this song is Fire on the Dance Floor by The First Summer. I'm curious to have a listen to this through and get a feel for everything sitting. The chest of those vocals, beautiful, like really. Okay, so what's going on here? I'm hearing something which is really interesting. The bass is really driving, which is beautiful, but it's chewing up some of the space of that kick drum to feel in the chest a little bit, which we want to. We really want to hear that. So what I'm going to get out is, we're going to get out iZotope 11, and we're going to use transient sustain mode with the EQ, because my aim is if we can just, actually we might even use the drums, okay, the stem isolate, just to EQ the thump in that kick drum. I just want it to feel more in the chest, if that makes sense. So let's play this through. that bass line is just a little bit big. I know this is a little bit of like mixing work, quote unquote, but I just want to clean that up because I'm hearing it and it's great, the mix. It's just a small tweak. If anything, if this was a client of mine, I probably would have just sent the notes back to go, hey, bring the kick drum up a dB or two, bring the bass line in the subs down a dB or two, and everything's good. I don't have that luxury in a marathon like this. So what we're going to do is, that's a really weird bass symbol, a DJ deck. Or is that a subwoofer? Anyway, interesting. We're going to go sustain mode and just solo this out. So one moment, I'll just take that. We'll go into the sustain mode, have a solo. Oh, that's way better. We can just A/B that level match this with Perception A/B, and you hear it straight away. Straight away you hear this. Let's go. Yeah, just listen to these two notes here. You can just hear that kick drum just has a bit more weight underneath it, which is nice. I like that. That is a really good change. I'm going to set up the clippers, which is important. What's the name of the song? Free Fire on the Dance Floor. There we are. Just want to see what the offshoot peaks are. Oh, very few and far. Now, I know this might have changed since I did those previous processes, but for the most part, I'm going to assume these are snare drums if I just go to one of the peaks here at 129. Let's see what that actually is. Yeah, that's a snare drum. That's a peak, not anything in the low end. Okay, and they're poking up 1.7 decibels. And we can just use some hard clipping to chew them off, which is nice. 4. Yeah, that'll buy us enough headroom, I think, which is good. Sure, we can keep things relatively dynamic, which is nice. I think overall, like, these little offshoot peaks are hard clip, but I'm not going to do any compression on this because the movement of the drums and the guitars are quite nice. Quite nice. We'll just gain that out 2 dB as well. Let's have a listen. Oh man, that is slapping hard. That is so good. I'm actually really impressed with myself. They're very small moves. Very small moves. Let's go to the EQ because it's a really good mix. Super solid mix. Not a lot going wrong there except between that bass and kick. When in fact, look, Arnold, if you're in your mix, just bring the kick drum up a couple dB, the subs in the bass down, and this is a perfect mix. This is really solid. Let's have a listen to these guitars and everything else. let's say be that EQ. So I reckon that's really nice. So what I did there was the mid-range of the guitar was just a little bit so much forward. It's 1 dB. I've pulled it down just a little bit. And the edge of that vocal, of the guitar, of the aggression of the track, around 2 kilohertz. I've boosted up but used quite a wide Q. 1 kilohertz is where I started at, but then I'm like, that's cool. But it just felt like just poking that 1 kilohertz, felt like there were holes in the top end and it was just going to be like sort of like playing whack-a-mole. So I went for a broader EQ band and started higher up. So we're still catching a bit of that 1K, but we're just starting an octave above it. Let's level match and have a listen to this because I reckon we're going to blow our socks off. Oh man, listen to that. The snare drum is like powerhouse, AC/DC, big bombastic now because we've boosted a bit of that transient in the kick drum. And because we did that, we got a bit of transient out of the snare as well, which is cool. Take a listen to this.
And I know I can't control. I know I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know I can't control. I know I lose control. Lose control.
I like it. I think it's a little bit aggro. It's just a little bit too hard on it all. I'm going to just bring this filter down a bit. Where's the fundamental of that snare? Let's have a listen to the delta here. Let's see my widening plugin, just to add a bit of shine to the top end. How that will work out. That's going to be quite heavy there. I'm just going to bring down this one. I don't want that one there if I've got that going on. Let's have a listen. Before and after. Oh man, so good. So good. Take a listen to that. You know what, those guitars, because we're bringing harmonics to the top end, this 2K I'm going to bring down. In fact, I reckon we don't even need that EQ. Let's fuck it off. Let's fuck it off and we'll re-level match this. That's beautiful. All right. Ozone 11. Let's just get these limiters working for us. I reckon that's a beautiful sound we've got there. let's level match them, because in our loudest spots here at the end, we're hitting 8.5 decibels. So let's see how that rolls. Level matched, which is important.
Control, I know I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know resist no more. And I know I can't control. I know I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. All right, let's A-B that.
It thrills inside me. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body
Okay, before and after, this sounds awesome. Take a listen.
voice. It thrills inside me. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know I can't control. I know I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know I can't control. I know I lose control.
That's awesome. That is really nice. Like, it's a really good mix to begin with. Really, all I did in this master, you're probably thinking, well, there's not a huge difference. All there is this boost to the kicks, a little boost to the snare, because I wanted to get a bit cheeky there. So boost to the kick transient, a duck to the sub bass line, which I would have just asked as a mix notes, a bit of clipping, a little bit of harmonics in the stereo field, and then limiting. And that's it. This is a really solid mix. And the final master, okay, and you're probably wondering, how much limiting do you do to get a loud master? Okay, I'll show you this. Ready? So vintage limiter is barely doing fuck all, and then I'll flick over to maximizer, where at most it's doing 1 point something dB. Take a listen.
I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know
Okay, you saw how much limiting is going on. I just can't run all those visual viewfinders at the same time. And take a look at this.
I lose control. I see the fire dance on the floor. I feel my body resist no more. And I know I can't control.
Maximum 8.5 lufs. That is really super solid. Maximum loudness there's around 8 lufs in the chorus. That's pretty loud, and it's just a solid mix. So that was a really fun one to do. I'm going to commit that. Number 3 of the marathon, Agent Copy Riot Mix. Now, I pressed play on this before I hit record on the camera, because I got a camera that can only record 30 minutes at a time, so I'm having to go on, off, on, off. But I've got a smile on my face because this sounds sick. I got to swallow it. It's just have a listen. Ready?
Hear that boom, don't flake, go strong, so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't flake, go strong, so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's
Mikhail Peterson sent this in. I got to pull up his email. I need to see what his brief was for this, because this is fucking exciting, man. Like, it gets your energy. I always struggle with frequencies building up around 4K too much, and I often overcompensate, which makes the mix sound dull. Like in this tune, I've almost cut 6 dB from around the vocal at 4K. Okay, so he doesn't want it to sound dull, but doesn't want the 4K to build up too much. That's something he struggles with. Okay, it feels a bit messy with the vocals in the second half of the drop as they're clashing with the bass a little bit. Let's have a listen.
what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot.
Oh, yeah, because you got that lead. It's going boop, 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 and the vocal's like, I'm trying to sing here. That's going to be really interesting to manage. Fuck, because this generally just sounds good as a mix. Like, I would just be like, yeah, throw a limiter on it. This sounds great.
Don't flake, go strong, so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody.
The hats. We want to get them when it's driven, not piercing an ear.
That guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot.
I want that low end to really fucking stretch into your chest. That's so cool. I think some of the delirium started to kick in because I like sat my ass on this chair and I can't get out. It's stuck. What's the name of this tune? Agent Copy. Where are you? How'd you load it in here? There we are. Okay. Oh, peak level. Let's figure out our limiter, where we're going to set it. our clippers, sorry, not our limiter. Man, tell you get delirium. You get delirious. Okay, that's the loudest part. And even when it's clipping, it's doing fuck all. The dynamics in this, I'm not even going to bother soft clipping. I'm just going to hit the limiter at -8. I'm going to buy myself 2 dB of headroom and then manage the rest because this is gnarly. This is a gnarly tune. I love it. You got to understand, like when I jump into a master and the music just like catches me and I'm dancing around excited, it's the best because then you just start pulling sound and like pushing EQ in a certain way and you know when it fucking feels good. And that's the sort of sessions I love to jump in. The other ones are beautiful, but they were a bit more technical. It was like the rock one, the second one was like, this is a great mix. You need to respect it. So I had to use my technical proficiency there to really respect the fuck out of it. The first song with the snare drum on the right, again, technical proficiency, but I had to tap into that creative side and I enjoyed it. But this is like, they're all good mixes, but some music just like really captures me and jumps me out of the seat. And it's not saying any music is better than another. I'm going to blab on a bit, but I don't mean to. It's just, this is a fucking cool tune.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong.
That's all the clipping I want. I just want to shave those offshoots, those little offshoots, because that's all we really need. That's all we really need for this, because I can make this loud without fucking having to slam clippers and limiters. And people are going to be like, how? And I'm going to be like, watch the fuck it, how I do this, all right? So let's keep rolling with this.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on.
Okay, hear all the texture and sustain in that bass. That I can't make the noise. I'm not a beatboxer, but that fucking underneath the beat. I'm going to use Michelangelo here because I like the slight tilt in the harmonics to the low end. So I want that sustain to really get some like fucking depth and grit to it. So we're just going to go here, bang that up to 0.47. Have a listen to that.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet.
Yeah, that's like exactly how it should be. Unisum on the compression. I got my EDM setting here. I know this is more like not drum bass, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not good with styles. That's the one thing I've never been really good at, naming styles specifically. But this is just fucking feels great. How's that? I use a preset thick A. It was meant to be thick AF, thick as fuck. And we're just gonna manage these crossover levels here because I really want this to pop. What's it doing? Okay, I'll probably explain this in every video. So these attack release modifiers, they've got a loud and a quiet time. So it's measuring how much compression is going on. And if it's a lot of compression, it considers it a loud time. If there's not a lot, it considers it a quiet time. And you can actually speed up and slow down the attack and release times based on this. So basically what happens is I like to slow down the attack time when it's very loud. So it's a bit more open and punchy, and speed it up when it's really quiet, and do the inverse on the release. So when it's really loud, I speed up the release so it makes it fucking pump a bit louder. And then when it's really soft, I let it slow down a bit. It's really good on EDM music. That's why I use it like this. So have a listen.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that.
Oh man, just listen to that. Between the clip of the Michelangelo and the Unisum pumping that bass, listen to that. That's fucking wild.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot.
Oh man, I'm gonna get nasty on this. Let's get really nasty on this. The Michelangelo, I'm gonna sit up front. Gonna get a bit of the transient in the subs and just poke it out a bit. Okay, we're gonna do that. You go transient, all transient. Let's crank this. It's gonna sound a bit weird for a bit.
Don't play go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here,
man, that is heavy. Gonna get rid of bass then. No, I'm gonna keep it. That's heavy as. All right, now we're gonna go to this second section because it's like the vocals, the leads, they're clashing. Cool. Let's get to that. That's gonna be really interesting. Let's feel out where these registers are at.
Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's.
This is one of those times where Sontech doesn't have enough points on it. You got to go to something like a Pro Q3 because I need to do a cut and a boost pretty near one another. So 840, negative 1.5.
Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that.
I love the tone of it so far. Like the kick is where it should be. Cleaned up that bit at the end. Let's get this freaking loud and smacking. Again, I just always listen to the Delta and the Vintage Limiter and the Maximizer. Let's have another listen.
Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Everybody's here, let's. Let's riot, riot. Everybody's here, 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 let's.
Man, that's loud as hell. And I'm only doing like 2 decibels of limiting there. Take a look at that.
Hear that? Hear that? Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that? Hear that? Hear that? Everybody's here, let's riot, riot.
Do you know what? If we want to get a little bit more loudness, you know what we can do? We'll just hop over to there, bring that down 1 decibel, and then go back in a vintage. Got 8.25. Boom, look at that. It's going to be pretty fucking loud now.
Hear that? Hear that? Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands.
Let's level match because I think people are going to be pretty shocked to know that this is so loud, but it sounds so much better. Even level match to the original mix. Let's go before and after.
Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot. Hear that boom, don't fake. Go strong so everybody knows what the fuck's going on. Don't be that guy that stands there quiet. Everybody's here, let's riot, riot.
Man, that sounds bad. It's like punching and it's still loud. Like it's still up at 6 LUFS. But level matched, it's slapping, which is great. Oh, that's good. All right, time to put that to print. All right, we're up to track number 4. This one's by Joel Harrison. I think once I get 4 and 5 done, I'm going to take like a halfway break. I know I said I was going to marathon this, but man, I'm fucking tired. And I think I need to just get up, stretch my legs, which will be important. So I'll get another 2 done, and then I'll take a break. yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. So Joel Harrison. This is interesting. Okay, so I did ask questions from the subscribers to submit. And Joel said, I don't have any responses in regard to the questions. I don't have anything particular list. It's great to hear what you pick up and do with the track. Now, this is really cool, and I'll explain why. Because there are clients who I work with that know my sound, that know what I deliver, and we've got that sort of rapport where it's like, we want you to do your thing. Bit of an interesting take, but it's really pleasant to do that because I know that trust is there, and you reciprocate that. So they have trust in me to do what I think is in the best interest of the track. I have to have trust in them to know that what they've decided to do in the mix was their intention. So it's like if the bass is a little bit loud, that's because I trust them to know that they know that bass is a bit loud. Even though we go back and forth and we'll get QC'd, there has to be that reciprocation there. So let's have a listen to this, man. Let's have a listen.
I let 'em roll, gonna let 'em flow, flow. I let 'em now, I let 'em roll, gonna let 'em flow, flow. Yes, I cry. These tears are the lesson you take from
You hear that? You hear that?
these tears are. These tears are.
Ooh. No. We don't buy that sort of stuff here. Now, I could use like Soothe or automated stuff, but they're very specific frequencies. So what we're going to do is, where are we? Clip effects. There we are. Just going to take that clip there, and at 6 kilohertz with a wide Q and 9.6 kilohertz with a narrow Q, we're just going to EQ that. Bring that down 4 dB. No, negative 4 dB. What the fuck's going on here? Negative 4. Why isn't that working? Why are you not working? You're not playing nice. Go 2. Go 4. All right. I don't know why Pro Tools is playing messy there. Is that another one? Back at 9. I'll make this Q super narrow. Not that narrow, but see how that goes.
Gonna let 'em flow, flow. Yes, I cry. These tears are the.
That's better, but it's just took a bit of those snares off, so we'll go back to there.
These tears are the lesson. These tears are the lesson. These tears are the lesson. These tears are the lesson.
Overall, listening back to the mix, I think it's really solid. The dynamics are there in a really good way. Curious to see where we'll take this because it's quite a good mix.
Will you was puzzle pieces of me, confused where I go and where I should be. But now my slate is clean. I let 'em out, I let 'em roll.
Love when the drums come in. You can already tell there's a bit of mixed bus compression on here because when all those drums hit, the low mid energy shifts down a little bit in overall amplitude. Just listen to that.
Is clean. I let 'em out, I let 'em roll.
That low mid energy drops into that section, which is interesting, very interesting.
I let 'em out, I let 'em roll. I let 'em out.
Just going to cut that there. Might add a little bit of low mid there, or I might in the sections before it take out a bit. Only when that main guitar comes in, we lose a bit.
I let 'em roll. Let 'em out.
It's all on that back half. Yeah, okay, it's all on that back half there. We're losing a little bit of low mid, or this front half has too much low mid. We're going to make a decision here. because it's one or the other, can't be both. So I'm really interested to sort of feel that out. Let's have another listen.
Flow, I let 'em put a little flow, put a little flow,
You know what? It's the piano notes, boom, in the octave below C.
put a little flow, flow, I let 'em now, I let 'em roll,
That adds that low mid energy, which I don't think they're in the main chorus.
put a little flow, flow, I let 'em now, I let 'em roll, put a little flow.
No, it's not in there. See that? That is picking out things. So those one note octave under C on the piano in the verses or that front half of the track is making it feel warmer and bigger, which is great. I don't think I want to EQ that. And I'll tell you why, because that is just the instrument that's there. And it's beautiful and it's balanced well. And just because respectively those choruses don't have it doesn't necessarily mean I need to EQ it out of the front half. But what I do need to do is consider how it affects the dynamics, which is really important. So for this section, what we're going to do is this is Mastering 101. They won't show you this on YouTube. That front half of the track, I'm going to bring down a decibel. Literally, that's my EQ move. And it's not even an EQ move. It's just relatively that front half is much warmer, but I like that warmth. It's part of it. It's part of the dynamics. So this front half here, literally just with an EQ, with a gain clip slider, down 1 dB. And now listen to this transition into here. It's going to lift.
It's clean. I let 'em out, I let 'em roll.
I'm a fucking magician. I can make a 1 decibel gain down sound like it's fucking the most fanciest EQ in the world. It's not. It's just understanding what's going on. You go in there with an EQ, start covering shit up, it's going to go to shit. I wouldn't EQ this. This is actually a really good mix. It's just that one little variation. I had to figure out why is it warmer here and brighter here. And it was just that one piano note. And I don't want to get rid of that. Like, I don't want to kill that energy. It's actually a good thing. It's not something wrong with the mix. It's just, that's the arrangement and it's part of the feel. Just needs a 1 dB gain adjustment there.
Let 'em roll, put a little flow, flow, I let 'em out.
And the cymbals are a bit bright there. So we're just going to consider everything.
Flow, I let 'em out.
Okay. Audio University, that is a great video on, understanding frequencies, but they do a really good job at taking like mnemonics or vowel sounds and then correlating it to frequency registers. Yeah, I said 8K, bet you.
Let 'em roll,
Let's get that cymbal crack.
put a little flow, flow, I let 'em out.
So I'm saying 8K, yeah? Let's see. I'm saying 8K. Let's have a look. Let's get Pro Q3 out. You'll also remember there's the vocals there as well. So, the presence of the vocals might present a little bit lower, like at about 4 or 5K, but that harshness in the cymbal is definitely at 8K. So let's just get this. 8K, 8, 1, 2, 3. 8, 1, 2, 3. Cool, okay. Let's have a listen. I was a little bit off. I'll cop that one on the chin. It's around 4K. Anyway, I still like that video by Audio University. And, everybody's always going to make mistakes and learn. And that's just one that I had to cop on the chin. I've done that, which is fine. I don't mind doing an EQ move like that on the whole mix. But the one thing is the snare. I just wanted to pop a little bit in the top end.
Put a little flow, I let 'em out, I let 'em roll. Flow, flow, put a little flow, flow, I let 'em out, I let.
Let's go to Isotope 11. I think we're just going to be using the vintage limiter. and the maximizer here again. Let's dial these in, and then we'll A/B to the original. Go redo click trim there. So with no compression, one EQ move to some sibilance, moving this up and down, a little bit of EQ to the top end, and a subtle bit of limiting, because the vintage limiter isn't doing any pulling. The maximizer is on 1 dB. We're already at 7 LUFS here. And remember, the original mix, integrated loudness was negative 12.7, and the short-term loudest point was negative 9.1. So we've hit loudness with very little, very, very little limiting, and just some really smart EQ moves and gain adjustments. Let's go before and after. Ready? That's all great, but the one thing I'm super concerned about is this transition. Does this transition work with the 1 dB down? Let's have a listen.
Going where I should be now. My slate is clean. I let 'em out, I let 'em roll.
That's gorgeous. That is beautiful. Okay. Just going to print that, and we'll get back to the 5th one, and then we'll break. Joey Lewis, P-Silk. Let's, am I recording? Jeez, am I? Good, I am recording. Fuck yeah. 23 minutes. We'll bang this one out, and then, man, I'm excited. Wow. This is gorgeous. I picked this for a reason because it was gorgeous, but now I'm just listening back to it and I'm in the vibe of going from track to track. This is really nice. Really nice. All right, P-Silk, where the fuck are you? Let's go, P-Silk. No, I just closed it. Why don't I close it? P-Silk. Where are you? Where are you, P-Silk? I didn't mean it. Fuck it off. Let's session. Let's go. So you can see I just got a shot. Oh, P-Silk. P-Silk from the Joe Lewis. He's the music producer. Okay. What am I going to do here? Positive for hyperfoot. The thing is, for this track, I'm going to have to use clipping to get it louder. So I'm really curious about where the peaks are. It's loud, but it's also like, it's really good loudness because the peaks aren't super big offshoots. There's just lots of dynamics. So there's lots of good variation between detailing transient and overall RMS. moving musically, it's quite together, which is good, but also can sometimes present a challenge because those softer sections are nice soft, but they're a bit too soft to bring everything up and get it really loud. But what are we going to do? Let's see where we can pocket this. We'll go to the loudest section. We'll zoom in and we'll see what the clipping will do here. Okay. Whoa, back out, back the fuck up. There we go. 2 decibels of hard clipping is gonna absolutely do it. And then I reckon we can soft clip to the 4 decibel. So that means with standard clip, I'll show you what that means. I'm just sort of like spitting out here what I'm going to do, but it might not make sense. So 2 decibels there, okay? And then, why does that say 2 decibels there? Then you hit out at 3, okay? I don't know why that says 0.7, that's wrong. That's going to be a curve from -4 decibels up to 2, because that sets the middle point of the soft clip. So 2 there, and then we're going to go 4 down here, and that should give us a nice bit of control to those peaks. I'm going to try something, and there is a 5% chance it will work and a 95% chance it is going to sound shit. But I want to do it because if it works, I'm going to be really fucking happy. So it's 2 parts. Bass lane, probably going to add some saturation of the low end in the stereo field. That can sound good and that can sound shit, but I'm only doing it because there's lots of sustain in the bass and I feel like atmospherically it can work. And then I'm going to use Dime 1 in using the tonalization setting to add a little bit of depth to all the peaks and slaps. Okay, so all those little clicks, all those little transients, I want to just make it pop and poke in a nice way. So what it does is it compresses the signal, takes the softer stuff and bring it up, but it does a multi-band, so that topping gets a little bit more open, a little bit more of that. I'm going a bit crazy. We're halfway through the marathon. I need to take a break, but we're going to go with this, and if it works, 5% chance, but I have a feeling it could also sound really shit because this is such a good mix. As cool as these ideas are in concept, and I've used them in masters before, when something is such a good mix, things like this can actually push them back. And I'll be upset if that happens, but I won't be surprised either. So let's roll on this bad boy. Let's get Perception AB out. This is going to be the telltale. They're pretty easy process to set up. It's just, you go, take it from the mid, add some crunchy harmonics to the side. That's number 1. Dine 1 through, I already have this in the preset. Tonalization strong, get the low end limiting -12. The rest opens up as it goes higher in the frequency range. And yeah, that's very like brazenly simple to set up. But will it work? Who knows? Let's see. Ooh, those snares. What the fuck was going on there? That sounded half decent. What? Say what? That breakbeat. The bass is sort of nor here nor there. I might end up fucking that off later. The parallel compression absolutely did what I wanted to the top end. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. That's good. Bit fatigued at the moment, so pushing through is a little bit harder than I thought, but that is actually a pretty good start to get the clipping on point, and the snappy details are nice, so let's keep it moving. What I did here was just half a dB tuck at 1K. I just felt like all those synths building up, there's quite a bit of energy there, and it's making the low end feel weak. So I took it half dB down there. You know, I like the bass in this song. There's nothing wrong with it. I boosted up a dB. I might get rid of that when I start limiting if it's controlling how much my limiters are moving. But otherwise, I really like the balance of this. Let's have another listen. There's something there. There's something there. I just crank the speakers and I can hear there's a tail in that kick drum, which is no good. No good at all. Let's zoom out. Let's look at a spectrogram. See, when things pick up your ears like that, you just dive straight in. You're like, oh, what's actually going on there? Let's zoom out. Zoom out. Okay. Kick. Oh, man, that's right over where the bass is. It's like right over. Like bass, kick, they're tuned to the same. Like this is just like production sort of thing. If you got a kick drum, use the relative key to your bass. Not relative key, but just like as long as if that fundamental lines up with any of your bass notes like it is there, it's going to get really flabby. And you can see like that line here isn't constant. Okay, and I'll show you why that's important to note. So I'll zoom out. And there's a bit of sidechain there, but because it's in the same region, you can see how much brighter that happens to get in that bass line as opposed to when the bass line is in a different register. Okay? So not super bright there, and then there it's super bright on that tail of the kick drum, which is in this really weird fucking spot. Okay, what are we going to do there? All right, we're going to have to do some magic hocus pocus. That's about between 40 and 50 hertz. So, all right, let's roll with this. just A/B that with the original. So sorry I got sort of stuck in that rabbit hole. I just really wanted to make sure that, see this sort of low end, that tail in the kick. Let me just get a little, I think there's a circle drawing tool. This here, little tail, those little tails there were controlled, but then respectively I was just bringing up a little bit of punch around here anyway because, well, I can, and I like punch. So yeah, I just want to level match this and see how it rides out. It's all right. I think this could be exacerbating it. Let's listen to the delta signal of it. I don't like the baseline pro on this. There's just not enough juice for it. Piss off. Let's go back to AB. Okay, I'm happy with that. We're in a good spot now again. So with the Pro MB controlling the low end, so the tail of the kick is getting triggered by the transient. I haven't got a super fast attack and release, so there's a bit of time for this to kick in. So the initial subs are kept, everything in the flab or the aftermath get ducked, and then a very fast little knock there getting brought out expansion-wise. Let's go to the limiters. This is going to end up being a freaking awesome master. It's just such a good mix, just little things like this where once you hear them, you can't unhear them, and then you're going to be like, okay, no, I can't have that. I can't send out a master like this to somebody. It has to be cleaned up. Let's have a listen. So hear that, just a bit of the subs coming through on that threshold. So I can't have that threshold so loud. If I do, I've got to take some of the sub off the EQ, that boost I did. This is a really good pocket for the overall track. Let's have a listen. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now all we're going to do is level match it and make sure that it sounds half decent. Let's do that. Okay, so let's have a listen around here. Go 2 bars on and off.
I don't see anything that can hold me down. Not a thing inside to take away my pride. That can hold me down.
loop those kick and snares. Beautiful. I'm in love with that one. That one's a really cool song. I'm really happy that I was able to do this little tweak to the low end just to get it tight. This is where the real magic was, opening up those top end snaps with the parallel compression in there. And then, yeah, a bit of boost to the lows because I wanted it. And yeah, Bob's your uncle. I'm going to put this on the printer and then take a break because that is halfway through the marathon and I think I deserve a break. So there you have it. So I'm back off my break. It was meant to be a half-hour break. It ended up turning into the whole weekend because my SD card was full. And when I went to transfer it to my SD drive, it said it was going to take 10 hours, which was absolute bullshit because when I got home that night, I'm like, well, I better transfer this to the SD onto my hard drive so I'm ready to work on Monday. And when I got home, it only took 10 minutes to do. I only had one SD card for my cameras. So instead of this being a full day marathon, it's 2 half days, but whatever. Now we are on this. We are on Sevo Maslow setting this through, and this is a track that he did for a mixing tournament for Tournamix. And he said it's a pretty straightforward punk rock tune with banging drums and guitars. My vision for the track was to make it as energetic and punchy as possible, although I'm feeling I'm missing some low end. So let's have a listen to this. Pretty good. It's punchy. Like as a mix, it's punchy. The low end, I think, is well balanced. It's not like overinflated. I think it's not thin and it's not thick. It's just like where it should be. Let's pull this up on Audio Editor. EC. There we are. What do we got going on here? Okay, so dynamic-wise, it's pretty solid. There's a few little offshoots and peaks, which I think with a clipper, we're going to be able to manage pretty nicely. We'll start with some clipping and then see tonally what we can do. Because dynamically, I don't really want to add any compression to this because it's already quite together. Just listening to it, everything's punching and balanced pretty well. I think it's going to be more so when we start driving the level, how the drive of level changes the overall EQ balance of it. Because that's what tends to happen. Especially through limiters. This is something Will Borza does, another mastering engineer I know. And basically what Will does is he drives into his limiters or his clippers at the start, like any AD clipping or limiting, he'll drive into that at the start and then EQ into it because it changes the tone quite a bit. I think that's something that might end up happening here only because everything's so together and I want to keep it together. So I want to see what happens when I push it, how it shapes the tone and how I can counteract that or compensate for that with an EQ. So we'll get this first clipper set up. We might get the final limiter set up and then we'll fill in the gap of the EQ. So let's go to the loudest short-term LUFS over here. So even at the loudest point, this clip is doing 2 bits of nothing. We can actually get away with 4 dB of clipping, I reckon, and we'll leave it there. I'm not going to use any soft clipping. I want all the little details in between to remain pretty neutral. So let's start there. Go 4. Go 2. There we go. That's funny. Okay, go back to my edit window. Let's have a listen. Something I'm hearing is the guitars on the left are a little bit heavier than the ones on the right. There was a really weird balance there. Just as I was listening then, I'm like, what's going on? My head was sort of turning and leaning in left a bit. The left side's a bit brighter, the right side's a bit duller. 2 different registers or voicings in the guitars. Which is a bit confusing because I'm just soloing the left and right there and flicking. Do I want to balance that before the limiter? No, I'm not going to balance that before the limiter. I want to get the limiter set because I still feel like the mix has good intentions, and that might be something we address, but I want to sort of get the overall shape right, and then I'll tweak those smaller details later. So let's dial in these limiters. So I've got the standard clip. It's only doing 4 dB hard clipping at the very top. It's taking very few peaks if you look at that. Just the down there, it's taking a lot. What's going on? It's taking 4 dB. There we are. All right, so let's go over to here. Get the vintage limiter on. Yeah, that's very little amount of limiting to get there. Max 2.5 dB plus a bit of clipping there. Pretty controlled to get nice and loud, but I want to get the tone down. So now we're going to go perception AB. We're going to level match the before and after clipping and limiting, and then get an idea of where this tone is actually sitting. That low mid gets scooped out. When you go before, which is the pre, and then to after, the before, the low mid is much more open and moving. Even that low end. So I reckon a really soft low end shelf there might be just enough to compensate that, but then we're going to have to back off the limiting just a little bit to make that compensation work. Otherwise, that low end's going to drive the limiting a bit too hard. So let's actually do that. So we're going to get the 4-3-2 out. And this is just a different way to work when you have a really good mix, is just consider how that limiting is going to change the tonal characteristics of it. Let's have a listen now. That's better, but I'm just going to back this off 0.5 dB, and we're just going to re-level match this all. And that's pretty close to that original tone, which is really good. Like, we've got a really loud mix there, a loud master, sorry, and we've kept that tone. It was just a 1 dB boost to the lows, and now I just want to deal with the stereo field, but I just want to listen to this at full volume, see where we're at.
As soon as you're fading, I will go. I don't like you don't like me. We're locking energy, yeah, we're locking out a day. So you got me up against the wall, and I'm only waiting.
Yeah, and now I reckon we go into that left-right side signal EQing, because I just want to get those guitars tight. Now, there's a different reason for this where I'm going to be a little bit heavy-handed. I think on the very first track of this marathon, Macumba Station, the snare drum was really heavy in the right, but there were details on the left, and I had to sort of embrace that because those hard panning decisions were integral to the musicality of the performance itself. Whereas this is more like a mixing decision, which is like, we're going to have this guitar here, that guitar there, and it's throwing the overall energy and balance off, which is, I can objectively say, you listen to it in stereo and you're like, okay, well, that left-hand side, you've got two guitars sort of moving the music together, but one is way brighter, one is way darker, and it shifts that. So we're going to sort of address that a little bit more technically than creatively, as we did in the very first track of the marathon.
The sound girl sends I goes. You're in the top when I am low. As soon as you're fading, I will go. I don't like you don't like me. We're locking
a bit of fiddling around to get there. I ended up just EQing the right-hand channel to make it match with the left, because everything else felt like it was just too hodgepodge put together. Let's have another listen through that. All right, so I'm a little bit happy with that. I'm not sure if I like it. Again, we're trying to test things here and see if these little, like, I could scrap this EQ altogether and it's going to be a perfect master because of that 1 dB boost in the low end. I'm just trying to see how much I can juice out of this bit by bit. Let's have a listen. We'll get the Perception AB up and level match it and have a listen. I'm pretty happy with that. I just want to add a little bit of air to the side signal, and then I reckon I am off with the races, and that's going to go linear phase now because I'm introducing a mid-side matrix. Let's have another listen, AB. I'm super happy with that. Like, if I put that like up against one another, then they level out really well. And this is just a really solid mix, so it didn't need a massive change. But then with the True Peak limiter, I go to that final master. Look how loud it is. Punching beautifully, and it is super loud. And that's because it's a really good mix. It doesn't need a lot. I could completely get rid of this EQ and it would be a perfect mix, a perfect master. This here, this 1 dB is the most important move, more important than my limiting and my clipping, because what it does is it compensates for that shift on the limiter in a really musical way. It just adds a little bit of bump to the lows, but with a really smooth, because if you look at this, that's 100 hertz shelf, but it goes all the way down into your 200 and 400 hertz, where those low mids were lacking a little bit after the limiter. So we're going to print that, and then we'll get on to number 6. Track number 7, the reason why I'm super excited about doing this is because Darth Vader is a really, really active member on the YouTube channel, giving such incredible feedback and comments to both me and other members. He's an incredible contributor. So when I saw he submitted, I felt like I had to put this into the 10 because he's so actively engaged in the community and really wanting to do great things in terms of education and learning and helping others. Now, Darth, I've got his email here, but it doesn't directly point to any mastering direction for this session. So I picked out a track from a bunch he sent me because I thought this was really cool, a really cool track, and would be fun to work through. We'll take a listen and then we'll start dissecting it a little bit here. Now, sounds cool, but he's sort of pushed it a bit and limited it, which is perfectly fine because it hasn't killed the dynamics. There's no pumping you can hear. The production overall is a bit warmer. The synths are a bit deeper, like the depth is really nice in them. There's something I'm concerned when, as a mastering engineer, when I'm listening to this, I'm listening to the details, and the details are good, they're warm, they're nice, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to all kinds of systems, especially those little ghost notes and whatnot. You really want people to feel in that breakbeat those ghost notes in between the 2 and 4. You really want it to come through. The best way to do that is, at least I've found, using Dyne 1. Again, I think I used it in a previous master during this marathon. This tonalization strong setting, it compresses all the loud stuff, and then any of the smaller details, the compressors back off and it blends back in parallel mode. So you're getting those little ghost notes, those little details just popping out of the speaker, a bit of those transient details just being a little bit clearer. So I'm going to fiddle with this just to get it into a pocket where I feel it's embellishing what's there in a nice way. Let's just get this on a loop. Oh, you can straight away hear that snare drum. Yeah, I prefer with the Dyne 1 on, which is really good. I'm getting a nice little bit of snap out of the top of that snare, which is nice. I'm curious to see if I can just further embellish some of that parallel compression with just general stereo bus compression, but with slow attacks and faster releases. And just on the peak release, the release RMS can't be fast because those long subs will end up pumping, but just on the peak. So we're going to go pretty fast here. We're going to go 74, 73, 36, 37, 36. I'm going to go faster there, and we're going to dial this in. Oh yeah, those snares come out really nicely. Let's have another listen. Just makes those snares smack a little bit more forward in the beat, which is cool for the style because it makes it feels like it's rushing. It's a little bit harder. It's a little bit more aggressive, which is nice. And we haven't shifted the tone of the overall mix very far. We just played with a bit of compression to change that overall push and pull feel of it, which is nice. Let's have another listen. Thinking to use some hard clipping at 6 decibels. So anything that is expanded here, because when you're adding parallel process, you're increasing the overall level subtly. And that's all the transient information that's sort of being lifted up. So anything I'm not compressing here, I'll just show this here. Anything I'm not compressing, well, that's got less compression that's being blended back into itself, is going to add more peak value. And what I'm thinking is, what might be a nice creative way to capture some of those new peaks is to hard clip them, give them a little bit of edge. So that way I can still maintain my headroom. I'm still further embellishing that sort of drive and smack, because a bit of that grit from the hard clipping can be nice accompaniment and keep the headroom available so I can continue driving in overall loudness. So we've sort of got everything 6, but the best thing to do is to go before compression. Just check something here. Actually, we'll go to the, we'll go, where are we going to go from? Let's go to the loudest peak of the track, which is 227, which is here. We're just taking those little peaks at the very top. So let's have a listen to this now, A-bead, because that's going to change it slightly, ever so slightly, because we're taking very few samples and we're doing 0.7 decibels of clipping. But I really want to make sure that every move is super tight on this. That's super nice. I'm really happy with that. Really happy. I don't know if we're going to do much EQ-wise because I sort of like the warm tone and I want to respect that, but let's have another listen, just see and feel if there's any opportunity to sort of shift it in a particular direction. My current fear is that because it is warmer, making it brighter will make it also feel weaker, possibly. Or we go super aggressive and completely turn in a different direction. I'm not quite sure. That makes that snare really aggressive in a really good way. I wasn't thinking I was going to do a push-pull EQ. There's a yin-yang push-pull EQ. So instead of doing a massive boost to the upper mids or massive cut to the mid-range, you do opposing moves half and half to sort of tilt in a limited band rather than a full band tilt where you tilt all the way down to 20 hertz all the way up to 20 kilohertz and you shove tilt up and down. You just use two bells in the middle, and that's actually really nice. Let's see if I'm fooling myself. Let's use some A-being here, make sure we're good. That sounds wild. That after is really good, like really good. I'm actually really happy because that could have went tits up. Like that could have been a really bad change to make to that master, but I'm actually pretty happy with how that's making everything drive in quite an aggressive way. And we're not losing that warm sort of tone to it. Let's get Vintage Limiter dialed in. I took a note of the loudest part of this song because it had already been limited. I really wanted to make sure that where it's going crazy, where it's the hardest, I've got a reference point. I did that for all of the tracks you can see. Something to be careful here with those long, when there's not a lot of transit information and you've got those long sustained sub basses, you really want to make sure you drop your volume down or you get a pair of AirPods in or something where you can hear the distortion that's introduced, because I'll just actually swap the limiting modes and I'll put this over to transient and you'll hear it crunch up. When the bass moves notes on the downbeat, that transient, in balance mode, it's nice and smooth. In transient, it starts to get a little bit edgy. Okay, just take another listen. On that second note, you can hear it in transient. It's very subtle. Do it again. Why I didn't use transient mode. You go balance and it's more rounded into it a little bit. Yeah, it's like a woolly beater. The small details which matter, because somebody will just slap a limiter on and call it a day. But this sort of section where it's the loudest, you've got sustained bass, not a lot of transient, it exposes the artifacts a lot. So that's a really good setup. Now we can go, so before the loudest section here was 6.8, now we're about 5.3 LUFS there. Overall, if we're in this loud section, how loud are we getting? Now, I like this. This is quite dynamic for this style of music. Typically, people push it a lot louder. Now, if you're going to push it a lot louder, what you would do is you'd be shaving off that sub, as in those sub fundamentals, because they are generally present there and choking up headroom if you did want to push it, and then re-implementing some harmonics. So one way to do that, if I wanted to do that, I'll show you what that would look like, is with TDI Infrasonic, you'd use a pretty aggressive slope, you'd scoop it up, you'd add your second and third order harmonics and you'd run with that, and that'd give you a lot more headroom for the limiter. If I look at the limiter over here, look at this maximizer before and after, and you'll just see how much headroom that takes up. Now, listening back, I can actually hear some of the flabbiness that's being caused in those subs, so I actually might tweak this a little bit. A cleaner with that in. Hey, see? Happy accident. That's a really good happy accident. Let's just see if we can get a little bit more juice out of this then. I gave an extra 0.3 decibels of juice, but that's really clean. Now we go to A/B before and after, and I reckon we're going to be in a really good space here. That sounds great. I'm going to crank the speakers and enjoy this. Enjoy this with me, all right? Before, after. Actually, I might sync it quickly. I want it synced because that way, at least when I'm swapping, it doesn't confuse the shit out of people. Let's run that. That is really cool. Let's do this. punches, hits, does all the right things. I'm going to put that to print, and then we're going to get on to track 8, 9, and 10. But that is like, I'm exceptionally happy with that. Beyond I can explain in this video, that is a really good result, because tracks like this can be very difficult to sort of manage and mitigate the tone, because, how do I put it? The sound design, so your synth arrangement, the way you actually put your wavetable synthesis of each patch and everything together dictates the tone of the track so much. And when you start EQing, you can really compromise that. I feel like this was a nice middle ground or medium ground to go from before and after in a really nice way. So, yeah, let's get on to track 8 after this finishes printing. Right, so this next track called Fashion is Made by Rex. And his only note was that I completely trust your ears and experience. I picked this song because it was a bit of an outlier in terms of tone and vibe and feel. So I can already tell you there's a few things that we're going to have to be managing. There's 2 really loud peaks which happen in the track, which will be almost impossible to deal with solely one processor or dynamic processor. So we might nip that in the butt now. Just take a listen to this as it goes into the loudest section of the song. It is very loud, that drum fill. So I've got to manage that. And something else I'm hearing now are mouth clicks. It's a lip noises and intermittent clicks and pops in the vocal take there. So this is going to require some. Let's get what you call it. Isotope. We're going to go 11. D mouth click. This is a really good tool, actually. So we'll go through it, and if this takes too long, I'm going to speed it up in the edit. If it's only a few mouth clicks, we'll be pretty good and off to the races. Let's go. Sibilance is under control, which is really good. I'll just make a mention of that. And the M of the smile, did you hear that? And it clicks on the M. You hear that? Can't have that. No. Let's just render that off. Another listen. That's better. Just fucking with my head listening to it, because I actually really enjoy this music. It's not something you'll find me listening to all the time, but when something just captures me in emotionally like this, it's a lot of fun for me to listen to. The fill makes the next section feel so weak. It's just so loud. Why? It's like it's just been cranked 3 decibels, literally that much. It is really, really loud. So we're going to take it from there all the way to that downbeat there. I just want to see, might have to add some crossfades. I'm not sure. I just really want to see if we can control that. Ew, that did not seem natural. I just pull it across to there. Long fade. Or I might pull it across to there. Long fade. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it dips down pretty fast. So I'm just going to have a long crossfade there. I'm just going to move that onto the right side a bit. It's better. Let's go there. Not dipping there though, so why does it feel like there's such a dip? Let's again, we'll pull that in. Naturally dips there. Okay, that's not good. So we're going to just pull that onto that side then. I'll get a better transition like that. We're going to have to tweak that later, I think.
Fashion, your skin and bones. Fashion, how fucking interesting, tell me more. Fear is crashing, tears survive pleasure. Spacecrafts have crashed,
Do you hear that panning? How fucked up is that?
spacecrafts have crashed in defeat. That look, I can't forget how I look from the side. If you see the future, you won't be in your own skin.
The sound design is beautiful in this. I'm enjoying this way too much.
I turn into butterfly when he compresses my head. Kittens, we almost drown, but I said I'm not
It's a bit hard.
drown.
Here, it's a bit before it.
We almost
No, it's a bit further back.
kittens,
Those are a bit hard.
kittens, we almost drown, but I said I'm not kissing the color of him tie.
Ta, the t
Him tie.
on the hip. No, that's better. Again, it's really weird managing that section. You don't want to duck everything. Actually, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to leave this open, and then when we drive it, I'm going to see which one gets managed better. The automated one, which I think isn't very clean. I actually think that's a pretty shit edit, which we might not use. Or just keeping it normal and using normal 2-bus compression, because I just feel like it's too hard. Anyway, I've went through it now, and I've done the edits I felt like needed to be done. It was a good fun listening to it also top to tail, because we haven't done that with every track really, just for time's sake. I've just been trying to move through them. Let's get started on this. And I'm curious, that maximum peak here, if we could just hard clip it, can we actually get away with that? Maybe not that low. How many samples is that there? I reckon we actually could. I honestly think it's probably 40, 50 samples there. In a sea of 48,000 samples a second, I reckon we can definitely just clip it 4 dB and keep the dynamics as they are. I don't know why I was against that when I opened this up. I'm like, no, it has to be manual, but not always manual is the best. Let's have a listen to this. Let's just level match these. It's going to be too hard because there's other distortions and harmonic sort of things happening there. I think it works better. I think I absolutely cook this fade. I would be embarrassed to send this to a client if I'd done that. It's lucky I didn't. I'll just audition this. Hard clipper. Bought myself 4 decibels of headroom. Didn't have to do all those fancy edits. Sometimes I do because the clipper just doesn't work out, but I'm not sure why I was so against it. Now, overall, this is tonally very intricate. We do not want to drive this hard. I'm even like considering why would I even bother to use compression anymore. We've got the hard clipping on the top. Overall, it's quite nice. Let's have a listen and see where this takes us, because I'm really curious to see where there's opportunity to embellish your mastering, or if embellishing is going to take away from that feel. that little bump on the kick is quite nice. Just loop that. Just gives a little bit more chest to the kick, which I think is nice and warranted. The overall top end, I'm just going to add a little bit of harmonics using this is the plugin I made, the patch I made for Meta plugin. My concept of adding stereo or side harmonics to the mid-side channel. We'll have a listen to this. And we'll go here. Oh yeah, I reckon if we level match this, that's going to be fire. Let's have a listen. Curious about this section here. No, let's go back a bit. I don't like this. You know why? It's beautiful what it's doing to the stereo field. It definitely pulls the sounds out wider, but there's an automation. The automations, it's skewing a little bit because it's adding harmonics to the side signal. The speed of those automations, if I A-B this here, listen, there's like a sort of sizzly thing in the right-hand side, which comes in straight to the middle at the end of that beat in the before. Okay, so when I play this, you'll hear it. It's in that voice that's like, I'm a bit pitch deaf, but that sustained voice pad slightly shifts into the middle, and that's in the before. But when you go to the after, it just stays out the side, which goes against the production value, goes against the creative intention, which is not good. I'll just go pre and post. Have another listen. On the before, it shifts straight into the middle. In the after, it sort of shifts, but it doesn't get straight onto that middle where the downbeat is. That is not good. I would be like, if the artist is really intent on their sound design choices, even though it was making it wider, it gave it a little bit of texture, it would be going against the intention of the mix. So I'm going against that option. So we've got a hard clip and a little bump to the lows at the moment. And we've done all those edits. There's little, I probably didn't do every single one because I was just like, they're there. I'll get which ones I get now. If this were a master for a client, I would be going every single second, every single word, making sure every little thing was correct, and that's how it would go. But I just wanted to highlight that for you, that that's something that has to happen and get pulled up in a master. Interesting. Let's go to our limiters, because I'm pretty, like, creatively, this is just a wild track. It's really good. Let's have a listen to this with the vintage limiter, and I think we're going to go something that's very non-intrusive here. I don't like that because it's hitting the kick drum too much. It's ducking it there, and I want it to poke nicely. So not very loud overall. This is where something like the upward compressor is really good for a master. So you've got your limiter working on those two big peaks. You've got the hard clipper working, but all that information below the limiter, we can lift up in linear fashion to not over compress. I don't want to over compress those loud bits, but I just want to bring things together a little bit here.
Dad looks, I can't forget how I look from this side. If you see the future, you won't be in your own skin.
I'm super happy with that. I am going to put that to print. That is definitely worthy of a good, how do I put this? That is a really good mix, and it's definitely worthy of me having a little bit more of a hands-off approach because the sound design is on point. There's no low-end rumble that's causing something magnificently horrible to the master. Those two sections where it got really loud, yes, needed to clip it. I did try automation, but it just sounded shit. So the clipping was good there. And that little 1 dB boost, I think it was a bit more than a dB. It was a dB and a half to 120 hertz where the kick was to give it a bit more thump was nice. This is an incredible mix, an incredible sound design and production and feel musically. So we've got to be very careful. Sometimes the decisions you choose not to make, which impact the master the most. So yeah, pretty happy with that. I want to show you track number 8 because it wasn't very loud. Overall, the integrated loudness of that final master was 14.7. Okay, I'll just get the waveforms. Ah, there it is, 14.7. But 98% of it was measured, so I can't optimize it anymore for loudness. And this is one of those situations where you go, loudness, if the client had pushed for it in the email and said it was something they were considering, like as in this situation, it's a mastering marathon, they're not really a client, but if they had given me a note to say we wanted this loud, we would have pushed to make it loud. Now, what I did was what I thought was in the best intention of the mix musically, and I think that is. And to know that this will play back with only, being boosted 0.7 dB up in Spotify, who really cares? 0.7 dB of their hard limiting isn't going to kill it completely. Could have I made it a bit louder? Maybe. But my intention was just to keep the integrity of that original mix as good as possible, and it carries through to the final listener, which I think we did well. So I just wanted to show you that. Now let's get into track number 9. Now this one is by Aaron. Let me just pull up Aaron's email here. Aaron. Oh, he answered every question. He said, not sure what to highlight. Keep the vocal where it's sitting and have the kick punch. So the kick has to punch. The vocal needs to sit where it is. My monitoring situation isn't great, so I'm concerned the low end isn't where it needs to be. That's really interesting because I'll say something here. People who say their monitoring situation isn't great, they don't know where the low end's meant to be, typically have better low ends than the people with great monitoring situations, like they've got a really well-built studio with great monitors. They end up making mistakes in the low end more often than people who are super conscious of the fact that their low end is shit that they're monitoring on, so they're very careful about how they control it. It's just a bit funny. That's something I've experienced as a mastering engineer quite a bit. Sometimes mixes coming from the worst spaces sound the best, which is contrary to, what we're taught and made to believe through marketing and everything, but that's just a funny thing. Let's have a listen to this mix. All right? All right.
In the wonder of your grace, I stand in the beauty, oh, the beauty of your ways. I'm standing forgiven. You've forgiven all my sins.
The vocalist's tone is beautiful. I love it. The kick definitely can do with a bit of thump in the chest. There's that little effect, that little sweeping effect is really damn loud. That one there. What the hell? That's really loud.
Stand in the wonder,
That sort of reverse vocal into itself.
in the wonder, in the wonder, in the wonder.
I'm going to get Pro Q3 up. only because I'm really curious. Number one, how damn loud is that? Because I might have to use some dynamic EQ because especially in the right-hand channel, it's like cranking loud. It's up in that top end there. Let's make that into a bell. There we go. That's to be narrow, way narrower.
I stand in the wonder.
Okay, we don't want the snare to be triggered, so we're just going to change the threshold when the snare hits. That's better. Now if we go back to here.
I stand in the wonder.
That's better. All right. Because it just was like cranking on the right there. I might just set that before the clipper so that doesn't trigger too much clipping when we do set that up.
I stand in the wonder of your grace. I stand in the beauty, oh, the beauty of your ways. I'm standing forgiven. You've forgiven all my sins. I stand in the wonder.
Yeah, negative 4 dB on the hard clipper. That thing on the right was really annoying, but the vocal tone is gorgeous. I don't want to touch that mid-range because she's just absolutely stunning. That is great. I'm happy with that. Set up that clipper. Actually, where's the loudest spot? Let's have a listen to it over here.
You make all things.
That's pretty cool. What's going on there? Yeah, the low end is tight. It just needs more of it. Like, it's not that like the low end's flabby and there's something too loud or too soft. It's together. Just needs more bass. That's all. Let's just do that. Bit of this. But it's a bit like Melbourne bounce. It's a bit too hard there. Nah, maybe 1.5. Let's go again. Let's get back to the vocal because I really want to change the upper mids because the synths are a little bit hard, like as in they're a little bit too forward. It's making everything else feel back because of that upper mid range where the synths are loud. So the low end feels weaker and I can't crank the low end so much because then it's just going to be way too much low end for the mid range. So I'm going to try and pull that down. But if I pull that down, that's going to affect the lead vocal. So I'm going to go to that intro where the vocals are beautiful and exposed and luscious and that I fell in love with for this song and manage that upper mid.
Of your grace, I stand in the beauty, oh, the beauty of your ways. I'm standing forgiven.
There we go. She's in a higher register there. So we just make sure that doesn't warp the tone if we bring some of that upper mid down. So what I might do is I might just cut you up there and then go playlist. Just going to carry that across to over here where the synths are. We'll just try and pair this up. No, I don't want the vocals with. Yeah, there. Those sort of arpeggiated synths there. You lose some of that air, that beautiful air from it. So we might have to split the difference. Instead of 2 dB, just 1 dB. I think I can bear 1 dB there to manage here. drop the monitoring really low because I want to sort of get an idea where these transients poke out during this end section. What I'm going to do is we're going to focus on a bit more RMS compression here rather than the peak on the TDR Kotelnikov. Just on smooth movement, so when it starts to swell a bit loud, it's just tame, just holding it together, just a bit of gel. I don't want it to pump, because if it pumps, it's going to change those swells and movements in a non-musical way. So the peak crest, we might end up disengaging, but we'll see how we go here. Let's shape this. It's not pumping too much. What you're hearing, that stutter in the vocal, is actually in the production. So that's pretty good. Let's get this A-bead for both sections, because I'm really curious to see how this is all tonally now sounding after the clipper, the EQ, the compressor. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it's nice. That low end boost is really good. The high end little tucking is very minimal, but it makes a difference. Let's have a listen here. Yeah, that kick is really punchy now, which is something that they wanted, which is great. Now we can go into final limiting and put that under a wrap. Let's have a look here. I'll listen. Again, gotta go vintage limiter. That's pretty freaking loud there. That's 6.5 laughs. Let's have a look. Pull in these softer sections. Okay, and if we level match these two bad boys. Beautiful. I reckon we've done a really good job at pulling this together, keeping the original tone intact. There's a little bit of boost to the subs, the overall low end actually, which gives it that weight that was requested, that punchy kick, and just a few little details like that compression in that back section, just needing it a bit, that little dynamic EQ on that effect. Very nice. I'm going to put that to the printers, and then we'll be off to the races with the last one here. Wow, we are on the last track. We're on the last track. What a marathon. This is Lift by Théophile Gagnard, and this is what he said concerning the music. He removed the effects on the masters and lowered the mix by 5 decibels. Do I advise that? Not all the time. Like, I think whatever you approve a mix with is how it should be sent, but this is what he sent, and I wanted to make something stupid, loud or punchy, because it's played in a battle game with a good mood. Beat them all. The mix isn't really clean. Drums are a little bit squashed with a clipper. I wanted to glue and kick the snare in a dirty way, I have no real reference as I don't do this genre a lot, but it was supposed to feel fun and punchy. Okay. I'm curious. I really am curious. I'm just going to put this on Do Not Disturb. Really curious to see how I can take this forward because let's have a listen and then we'll see. What we're concerned about is stupid, loud and punchy. Well, this is going to be fun. Let's have a listen. So this is going to sound crazy, and this is where my ear is taking me to. But remember the one we did for Daft Fader, Floating on a Summer Breeze? Where's that? Here, okay? The original mix had a very similar tone where it was a bit warmer. This is the final master we ended up with. Very similar, very, very similar. Let's have a listen back to what we're working with now. Very similar tones. I'm really happy that my ear picked up on that because I think we're going to do very similar processes to what we did on that Daft Fader master. It's warm, things are well balanced, but we just want a bit of extra snap, a little bit of extra pop. So again, we're going to go Dyne 1. We're going to use maybe a little bit of compression to bring out those transients and then clip it. I think that's going to be very similar sort of pattern we're going to follow there. It's really cool. One thing is I might actually add some clipping before everything, only because we don't have that luxury of already having it limited. Not that it's a luxury, it's just different dynamically in nature. So we've got these offshoot peaks. We'll hit it with a 4 decibel clipper, 4 dB hard clip there, just to control it. Then we'll go back into that Dyne 1 and start adding some compression. Now we might clip afterwards as well, I don't know, but I just sort of want to control what's there for practice sake. Let's have a listen. Oh, you bozo. I'm like, why is this sounding so weird? I still had the Delta signal turned on. Ah, man. Let's have another listen. That's better. All right, now we can listen A-B properly. Yeah, way punchier, way snappier, way more focused. What I am going to do is I'm going to add a bit of low end, take a little bit of top end out. I know it's punchy and snappier now, but some of the sizzle at the very top is annoying my ear. And I think the low end has room that we can just give it a bit more crank. Let's have another listen. That's gorgeous. So we've got the standard clip, 4 dB on the hard, Got the Dyne one adding a little bit more pop, the compressor just gelling, and on the peaks it releases really fast, or really fast by my standard, and then just slight little tilt because the top end was getting a little bit harsh from this. But I do want it to pop, so I needed to keep this in and just had to compensate after the fact. Some limiting. Let's get on that. Let's get on that limiting. I'm pretty happy with that. Take a listen to how loud this gets. Let's level match that because we're hitting 5 lufs short term there. And that's pretty freaking loud, but we want to make sure we're not going backwards. So let's A-B this. And also we're going to sync it. That's the one thing, when it's not synced, it just doesn't work. Okay, let's A-B here. Go back a bit. Over here, before. I'll play it there. It's still dynamic, it's still hitting, it's still punchy. I love it. I'm putting that to the printer. Let's do that. And that's the end of the marathon. Yeah, we got 10 tracks we went through there. And here's my sort of thing. A lot of people's mixes were insane. Actually, all of them were very good mixes. And I didn't pick very good mixes for the sake of it. I ended up picking music that sort of caught my ear, that was interesting and intricate. But even when there's good mixes, there are still things which come up. And through mastering, it's not just we're going to compress or we're just going to EQ, we're just going to limit. Each time, each mix presented as something to me as a mastering engineer, and other mastering engineers might have listened to this and had different things present to them. And that's our interpretation of sound and how we appreciate the music in different ways, and that ends up with different results. That's why you can send a mix to 10 different mastering engineers and get 10 different results, albeit all of them will be good and of different tastes, but they'll all be different to some degree. And that's why communication is really important. I sort of created a prompt at the start of this when I reached out to the subscribers. You know, let me know what you're after, so that way it guides my decision-making a little bit better. Good mixes. Common themes, which I think were interesting, was stereo field. That popped up 2 or 3 times, where with the first track, that snare drum was really far out to the right. There was one where the guitars were a little bit misbalanced, and other ones where effects were in the side signal that were a bit odd. Stereo field balance is really important. It can be hard to achieve depending on the music. So you got to consider tonally and dynamically and textually how that works and how the left and right channels complement one another. Low end was pretty good throughout. I didn't think any had a particularly big error in the low end that needed mastering to fix. There were embellishments I made to the low end based on notes people gave me, but the low end was pretty tight. The top end was pretty good. Mid-range was gave me a good ground. Like, not all the mid-range of every mix was perfect, so it gave me a good stomping ground to start carving away with EQ to embellish the mix overall. That's really hard to get right 100% of the time for even the best mixing engineers out there, and sometimes you're at the mercy of the production and the style of the production, so there's that. But overall, I had a lot of fun doing this. I don't know if I'll do it again. I want to, but you guys have to let me know, because doing something like this is quite a big outlay and commitment by myself to fit into my schedule and do all of this. I want to let you guys know, now you're at the end, I am giving out this whole session for free to newsletter subscribers next week. So if you sign up to my newsletter next week, I'm going to send this session out for everybody to download who has Pro Tools. You can listen, you can go through my settings and have at it. All right. Until next time, take care.